Let's see if we can get this set up. If you log on, in the meantime, I will try to set this up to where I can hopefully read your questions from here. Alright, here we go, here we go. Hey everyone, just trying to set it up that I can actually see the questions on the computer, and I have to reach up here and touch this thing all night long, so bear with me. Alright, show me how, show me how. I need to do this more often so I can get a little better handle on this. I know what I would probably need is actually a webcam. Do it all from the computer instead of from there. That might be something I need to try. So we may jump over to the live on the laptop. So all of you that are on right now, just hang tight for a second. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. This whole reaching up to the phone thing and missing comments has gotten kind of ridiculous for me. So, oh, here we go. No, we're good. We're good. All right. So Friday night. I appreciate every one of you that logged on. I don't know how many of you were around earlier today when I tried to do the live feed on the Grand Cherokee, which kind of failed miserably. Internet connection in the shop just sucked. If you were, I apologize. I do know the outcome on that, if any of you were wondering. There you go. Was it the wire? No, it was not the wire. So my assumptions were completely wrong. In the end, this is what happened. So I summarize for a lot of you. 2002 Grand Cherokee had an issue where the customer stated another shop said it needed a body control module because the power windows didn't work. Well, what's common on those is a broken wire in the door jumper harnesses, which I assumed incorrectly, so I was kind of jumping the gun saying this is what I already think it is. Went over there, pulled it, and of course, no problem, right? Busted out the scanner. I was able to access both the driver's door module and the passenger side door module. I could actually see the switch states change when I moved the switches, so that was good. It was recognizing the switches. I could actually command the windows up and down, which was cool, which made no sense at that point because if I can see the switch doing what it needs to and also seeing the windows doing what it needs to, it should work, right? But I started going into some other modules because there were no codes in there, and those modules actually don't set any code. So I checked further, and I couldn't get into the body controller or what they call the central timer module. I can go by both terms on that vehicle. So I just did what they call a capacitor discharge, where you actually take both cables loose, hold them together for about a minute, minute and a half, put it back together. And basically that's the same thing as a Control-Alt-Delete you would do on a laptop if you get when you get to a point where it locks up. And that's exactly what happened. The BCM started responding, the windows worked fine. So at that point, the car is really not worth that much, and he didn't want to spend all the money on the BCM, so we got it working for now. Kind of told him what he needed to do if it happened again. Otherwise, if you want a permanent fix, you're going to need to actually replace it, which is like I said, $900 is what he was quoted. Alright, so that covered what happened on the live feed. Of course, like I said, didn't quite go as well as planned because we lost connection and I couldn't actually show you anything. So that's why it kind of got deleted afterwards. Let's see if we jump some questions here. Jason, 2008, Dodge Avenger 2.7 heater core. The heater core on that one requires taking a lot of stuff. Basically, you got to pull the dash out in order to get to everything. There's a shortcut, but I can't really go over the shortcut just talking on here. The heater core has metal pipes that go on that are actually crimped. If I'm getting a bad connection here, I apologize. I just keep talking through it. They're crimped on. So you can actually uncrimp them, pull the lines off, slide the heater core out of the dash, replace the O-rings on the metal pipes right there, so get your replacement heater core, do the same thing, open up the crimps, take the tubes out, slide your new one back up into the dash, put the pipes back in, and then re-crimp them. it's feasible. I do it a lot of the times and saves a lot of money for the customer. I add a little to what, the typical, let's say for example it was a 5-hour job. I'm not going to charge the full 5 hours. I may charge 2.5. I'll meet somewhere in the middle. They'll be happy. I'll be happy. Hopefully I don't have any problems. So that's how we go with that. But yeah, that's kind of an in-depth repair. I haven't done a video on that. When I do shortcuts like that, where I'm kind of messing with something, taking the crimps off, I kind of hate to film it because some people probably might think you're a hack or you're kind of butchering things up, because some shortcuts, like cutting parts of the dash open and stuff like that, not cool, right? So that would take a big, long video. Let's see. Just going down this list here. Hopefully everybody's getting ready for the Thanksgiving week. I'm actually going to be off, heading to Myrtle Beach with the family, short vacation before Thanksgiving comes up. Oh, alright. Mr. Rodriguez, 2007 Dodge Charger, can I use max ATF purple power in my transmission? I think you actually sent me a message on Instagram, and I apologize if I didn't respond back yet, because I literally have 130 emails of comments and questions about cars that I've got to catch up on, and that was one of them. As long as it's ATF4, you're fine. It's when you start getting into the 8 speeds, 9 speeds that take a very special fluid. But to be honest with you, I don't see anything wrong with just using a typical ATF4. I don't see that you really need to go with some high-end fluid. If it's that much more expensive, I probably wouldn't. I'd stick to just normal ATF4. Otherwise, I'm not big on spending the money on the high dollar oils. Don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about like the Pennzoils. I'm talking more like the, I feel bad I don't remember the names right now, because you know why? I don't buy them. You got the high-end oils that are not the main names like Pennzoil, all those Shell, none of those. I can't think of the names right now, I apologize. But the max ATF, that's up to you. If it's peace of mind, so be it. I don't see it causing any harm whatsoever. Will you get a big benefit out of it? Can't really prove it. Biggest thing about transmission is heat. As long as you don't get them too hot, and as long as you do routine maintenance, typical ATF4 should do fine. Brian, good videos. Quick question on the 6.7 water pump recall. I've been asked that a lot on the recall on the Cummins. I can't remember the number right now. It's T something. It might be T15 or something. Nonetheless, last time I looked, all I saw was a notification that you're getting in the mail right now. There is no mention of any time frame of when the parts will become available so that they can actually launch the recall. And mind you, the recall is probably not going to require replacement of the water pump. I've been hearing that there's probably going to be an inspection first. We're looking for something specific on the water pump. It's possibly a vent hose, or not vent hose, a vent hole near the top of it. Not your typical seep hole that you would see on a water pump. That one would be on the bottom. This one actually is a hole for venting, which kind of allows some of the heat from the bearings to escape. And I think the way it's going to be is whether or not it has that hole is going to determine whether or not it needs a water pump. And of course, before they launch that, being that it was $500,000, they're going to want to make sure they got enough water pumps on hand for a certain percentage. Otherwise, it's a wasted trip for people to come in, have an inspection done, and nothing done. So right now, I would just drive it as is until the actual next notification you get comes out. Otherwise, right now, it's just a letter saying there is a recall, and we have no time frame on when to get the parts in. Let's see, any tips on replacing the heater core on that Avenger, Jason? Like I said, I've got a shortcut. Otherwise, it's the long way. It's the taking the dash out and going from there. Hey, what's up, Keith? I guess you're talking about the jumper harness maybe, or what? I don't know what part you're talking about. It's discontinued. Maybe I missed over something here. Hello. What is your opinion on the 3.6 Pentastar and Jeep Wranglers? 3.6 is a good engine. You hear a lot of different complaints with it because it's our go-to 3.6. It's our go-to V6 engine, excuse me. So of course, if it's one of your main bread and butters, if there's going to be any problems, you're going to see a lot of them because it's everywhere. It's in all the front wheel drive vehicles. It's in the rear wheel drive vehicles, from the Ram 1500s down to the Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Durangos, you name it. If it's big enough for a V6, it's got it. Great power. You're pushing what, almost 300 horsepower. It's got its quirks here and there, but for the most part, it's like lifters and roller rockers. Roller rockers are the most common failure point, which is kind of similar to what's going on with some of the Hemis too. But I don't see them all the time, but we do see them. But for the most part, they're great engines. Like I said, it was no different when we had the 3.8s or 5.2s, 5.9s. We had a lot of common problems because, of course, they were common engines. So being a dealer, they would come in, we would see things. And if you search on the internet, you're going to find a lot of problems because only thing on the internet is people complaining of an issue. So there's going to be lots of them. No one's going to say everything's wonderful. It's always negative, doom and gloom. Cheers, great videos. Thanks, Carlos. Have you seen modern diesels with EGR coolers frying our coolant into a gel clogging heater cores? Alright, I kind of summarize that up. As far as cooking the coolant, no. Usually when I see a EGR cooler fail on a 6.7, you get it starts to overheat. You may get some white smoke out of the exhaust because it's at the ass end of the engine in the exhaust, so if anything leaks out, that's where it's going to go. So it will smoke, and then you'll have problems there. Guys, can y'all bear with me 1 second? It seems like the battery lag on this laptop's about to go out. I want to grab a charger real fast. I like using this format and talking to you, so just hang tight 1 second. Alright, hopefully we got this. Yes, we got this. Tell you what, Key, it's hard going through all these questions. I know by the time most of y'all respond back, I'm still probably 15 questions behind, so apologize. Let's see. P0455 emission leak, gas cap is tight. I don't have the money to find what's wrong. What do you think? Let's see, maybe I can come up with something here. Depends on the car. Different ones have different issues. That's large evap leak. Gas cap being tight would always be, of course, the first thing to check, but the next thing is the gas cap good? Of course, it takes a special tester for that. It's basically what they call a smoke machine. So of course we got to hook up to it. We check the integrity of the system, make sure there's no leaks. We make sure that the gas cap's not leaking and it holds pressure. Now, what I could say is, for example, if you got more than one car, most cars share the same kind of basic gas cap, unless you get into a lot of the imports, the Asians, the Europeans. But if it's a domestic car, you got another Chrysler in the driveway, you can take that gas cap off and put it on yours. Now, you don't have a way to probably clear the code, but if you drive it over the next few days, eventually if the system is sealed and there are no problems, in theory, after multiple warm-up cycles of the engine being cold and warm, that active code with the light being on should go to stored and the light go off. Now, it's just a matter of, do you get another gas cap? You can try that. It's just the cheapest route. I don't want to say throw a part at it, but if you've got one you can throw on there just to test with, that's fine. Or if you want to go buy one, that's fine. But you could have an actual leak somewhere in the emission system, and that will require further testing, of course, and that's starting more of a visual inspection. You could get up under a flashlight, look to make sure there's nothing obvious. Make sure no critters have been chewing through the hoses under the hood at the purge, the evap purge solenoid, excuse me, and then follow it back all the way to the canister and to the tank. What you can see, that's the problem. A lot of stuff's not accessible, and a lot of it's plastic hoses now. You don't have the decaying rubber hoses like you used to, so you knew, hey, any kind of rubber joint somewhere or connection, like on the older Durangos, Dakotas, older minivans, you knew what to look for. In this case, not so much. The plastic lines, unless something's rubbed through it, they don't ever leak. It's usually anything from a bad gas cap or even a stuck open purge solenoid. So gas cap would be your cheapest route if you wanted to go by that means. Unless you've got a newer vehicle that is capless. That's a whole nother story. Pin and start means change that oil frequently. Very, very true. Just like any vehicle, especially the way they work, most modern day engines are not as simple as they used to be. Changing the oil is very important. You've got variable valve timing, you've got all kinds of different systems that require good clean oil. Change it on a regular basis. I hate to go 5,000, but 5,000 is the max I'll go on a gas engine. I still love 3, that's just me. Yeah, Keith's right on the first generation, I call them first generation. The earlier 3.6s, there was a cooling problem with the cylinder head to where it wasn't uncommon for there to be a burnt valve. What happens is the temperature get too hot, and actually the seat or the area that the valve makes contact with the head would actually become distorted. It would cause it to leak to where usually you would notice a misfire at low idle, low RPMs, like parking lot maneuvers, or just barely sitting there with your foot on the brake and in gear. You could feel it. Normal driving you wouldn't. And they actually extended the warranty on just the left side head for those people. So for the known issue that there was a remedy for, now once you got out of that time frame of warranty, it was all on you. Bobby, let's see, can you get just a spring for a 98 Dodge Ram door, or is it the door hinge and spring? I don't know right off the top of my head, Bobby. I don't have access to parts right now. Good question. What I would be able to find is probably dealer stuff, but the problem is the dealer, and it being a 98, whether or not they have that or able to actually order it, it may be a discontinued item, so I'd have to check on the Chrysler side on their parts to see. Of course, like I said, I don't have access right now. Hey Dave, long life to the Motorcity Mechanic. Many thanks. Many thanks. I hope to do this forever. It's what I do, right? Spread that knowledge. Exactly. If it's a Dakota, like you said, check the visible lines for any cracking. Dakotas have a big problem where if it's a Dakota or Durango, which is of that year, basically the same platform, by the front battery, the leak detection pump, which is a system they used to have back then for checking it, there are some hoses that go from that basic location from the leak detection pump and I believe it's a leak detection pump, I don't think it's purge solenoid, but in that area there's a possibility of a rubber hose dry rotting, cracking, getting chewed through, rubbed through. In that general area is the most common location, and of course the canister, check that to make sure none of the larger hoses have gotten splits in them. Usually at the end where they would slide on the nipple, they would get cracked, split, and there would be a small leak right there. And poor won't be having any turkeys and fixing. Come on, man, I know otherwise than that. And you know what? You can have my turkey and my fixings because I'm not a big turkey fan. Jefferson, thanks for all your tips, Dave. You helped me out a lot. I appreciate it, Jefferson. Thank you for watching. Couldn't do this without y'all. I'll send you a sandwich. Yeah. You know, Arby's got turkey sandwiches now. I'm sure you can hit them up and they'll probably have some go ahead and get you one earlier in the week, put it in the refrigerator, and you'll have it ready. Oh, man. I done hit the button, and I done missed all these comments. I apologize, everybody, for all these comments and me getting to them. You know me, I'm real... You see the comments in the videos. I try to respond to each and every one. Problem is, I sometimes get backlogged with it. I'm trying to, like I said, I hit the wrong button now. I'm all screwed up. Man, y'all are just asking question after question after question. Wow. I need it to be like some people, just ramble on and just talk and then maybe spit out something every now and then. Royal Purple, exactly. That's one of them right there. That's the bigger name oils, or I say, I don't know. They're the expensive oils. They're a higher dollar than what you would normally get with the mainstream names. And I don't really say that there's much of a benefit. I mean, unless someone can prove me wrong and show me, I'm one of those I have to see. Appreciate your videos on the 6.7 diesel EGR videos. Thank you, Jason. I'm glad they help out. Weird things, I don't really see many issues anymore. That don't mean they don't happen. Dave, how often should rear differential fluid be changed? That's the thing. You look at a lot of the service intervals on Chrysler vehicles now. You know what they say, basically, unless it's a police, taxi, fleet vehicle, there's almost never an interval. So you battle with yourself, what's a good interval, like transmissions? Do you do them every 60, which would be what I would prefer, but it's not an interval on some of them. Differentials used to be, depending on the car, some of them were 15,000 miles, and now I've seen them 30, I've seen them 45. It's finding a number that's going to work good with you. And I know that's not a very scientific method there, but I've seen trucks with 75,000 miles that the fluid look brand new. If your owner's manual, that would be the first place I check. If your owner's manual gives an interval, definitely go by that. If not, 50 wouldn't be a bad interval. It's not a hard service. 50,000 would be good. It's kind of a halfway point. I just don't like anything that's fluid operated being longer than that. Like transmissions, I hate to go more than 60,000 on transmission service. And you know, if you want to do 50 on a diff, that's fine as well. Now, if you use it for like off-road and Jeep Wranglers, you know, people like that, those owners, I would do it a lot more often, or at least check it and make sure no water's getting in there. Didn't get a notification for this. Now, Spanky, have you clicked that bell? You know that bell icon? You know YouTube, everybody on here, you're on here probably because you got notified. They had to add that bell icon to make it even more complicated. You got the subscribe button, right? You would think that's well enough. Now you got to click on the bell icon, and with the bell icon, you hopefully get a notification, hopefully, unless you got some settings changed on your phone, computer, or whatever it is. Mr. Rodriguez, thank you for your response. I know you're busy. I appreciate it. You're welcome, man. Busy. I'm busy because of myself, right? I know too many YouTubers, they don't answer every question, every comment. I try, but you know what? It's slowly getting to where they're starting to slip through the cracks, and I apologize to each and every one of you if you did send me a question and I haven't gotten to it, because I know I open myself up for that. I give you the email address, tell you ask anything you want, but there are literally about 100 a day, and when I get home, I hit that couch, it's hard for me to do anything else. I'm telling you, y'all are just killing it, and I can't keep up. Can't keep up, so I apologize. How often about the transmission fluid on the 2012 Durango? It's 100,000 too long to wait. Hey, like I said, I would prefer personally 60,000 on a transmission service. As far as what's my reasonings, should that be a good interval? I feel it is. Because when it gets to 100, I start getting weary. Because, you know, transmission is nothing more than a big hydraulic pump, and it's all about the hydraulic fluid. Excuse me. They say the three most important things in hydraulics is clean fluid, and clean fluid. Transmission is the same way. Trying to keep it fresh fluid and clean fluid is a big thing. 60,000 is not a bad interval. 100,000 you're kind of getting up there, but a lot of these transmissions hold up even longer than that now. It's not unheard of. I just personally get weary from the old days. The old days, if you made 100,000 with a transmission, you were lucky, and you knew if you serviced one, it probably wasn't going to pull out of your bay afterwards. I've had 3 come in this week, one with 300,000, one with 400,000. Did services like they wanted. Knock on wood, everything went well till let's see if they drove it home and how it went. Jumping around. It's like my emails. I'm going to have to jump over some of y'all, and I apologize for that. Grand Cherokee 3.6, 92,000. Had a cylinder 3 misfire, replaced plugs and coil packs. Now has a P0420 cat efficiency bank 1. I wish I had access to things right now to see. The first thing I always do in a situation like that is see if there's any software updates. If there were updates, and we'd go that route. Problem is when you start having the misfire codes, you're getting a skip. You're getting unburnt fuel going into the exhaust. Bank 1 is the same side as cylinders 1, 3, and 5. So if that number 3 was dumping too much fuel into the exhaust, maybe a bad coil pack, which was more likely the problem, or a plug, it could have damaged the cat. Now checking for the software updates to see if there's one that covers that code would be my first step, and then afterwards there's a possibility of a cat being bad. Now, cat efficiency codes, the things they tell you are the O2s are related as well. You could have a lazy O2 sensor giving a incorrect reading and making it be interpreted as being a bad cat. So there's that whole, is it a O2, is it a cat? They're going to require a lot more in-depth diagnosis first before replacing something as expensive as that. You're welcome. Appreciate the answer and your time for this great content. My water pump went out on my 2014 Ram 3500, chewed up the tensioner pulley and a cable. The dealer didn't want to replace it under warranty. I had to repair and tow. Wow. And towing everywhere. That's pretty bad. Where are you? I just lost you again. Yeah, the most common thing on the diesels, other than emission-related problems we have, right? Because, of course, the 6.7 has so much emissions added to it that we do have problems related to that, is the water pumps. If I see one coming off of a wrecker, usually it's the belt hanging out from underneath. Wow. And I know it ends up being a water pump. The belt fell off, and either the pulley came off and damaged something. I'm telling you, man, I hit the wrong button. I go through and I see how many of these questions y'all have. Wow. Whew. I'm going to miss some of y'all, and I apologize. But yeah, main thing I would do on that, keep your receipt, because part of that recall says if you had to do any repair as far as having the water pump replaced, that they will reimburse you. So that is something special right there you need to keep a hold of. You need to lock it somewhere. Glove box, don't lose it, because once that recall comes out, there's a possibility once you contact Chrysler. Now they're going to probably want to know the water pump that's put on, if it's going to be the appropriate water pump. There's going to probably be some little issue there, but nonetheless, keep your receipt, contact them once the recall comes out, and you may get reimbursed for that. Now, why they didn't replace it if it was a warranty item, I don't fully understand that. That don't make much sense to me. But then again, I can't justify what a lot of dealerships do, because a lot of them do stuff that don't make sense to me, period. Dude, you can always answer any question you want, Keith. You're helping me out. I appreciate it. That's what this is all about, right? You helping you helping you, me helping you helping me, right? Because what y'all really don't realize is all these questions you ask are actually helping me, because there are days where maybe there's a question that popped up actually helped me to remember something or to diagnose something. So it's just, we're rehashing things, we're bringing up things that maybe we forgot or things we have overlooked, or maybe you heard something fixed somewhere else. So hey, this is all about helping each other. Y'all are more than happy to chime in and help each other on here. I have no problems with that. Don't think this is just about me. This is about all the... Thank you for your help. It was a cylinder pack on my 2005 Jeep Grand Cherokee 545 RFE transmission again. Thank you. Great fix. Awesome, Jerry. Yeah, that's the most common thing on those transmissions. Solenoid pack could go bad and you'll get different issues. Of course, diagnosing it requires a transmission simulator, which how many of you have a transmission simulator sitting in your garage? Very few. So there are those times when I say if you want to pull the trigger on something, solenoid packs are very common on the 545 RFEs. And even, we actually had a recall recently. I say recently. Last year, within the last year on the trucks, the newer ones, we were replacing solenoid packs, so it's still an ongoing thing. Jerry, my service advisor told me to contact FCA and complain to get reimbursed, and sure enough it worked. Oh, cool, so it did work. Awesome. Yeah, I don't understand why the dealer did what they needed, but I guess in the end, other than the frustration and probably, I'm sure it wasn't a pleasant experience, I'm glad that Chrysler stepped up and said they would take care of it. Awesome. Especially knowing that they got that recall coming out. I really like the Dorman 917992 repair for the 3/6 bypass valve. Thank you, Maurice. That came out very well. That was something surprising to me. It was seeing a problem, thinking, why is this so complicated? Why don't we just replace the part that's needed instead of the entire assembly? And I know people don't like Dorman, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like buying anything aftermarket. I don't. There are the little things I don't mind buying from them, things that are not electrical, things I don't have to worry about putting my life on the line for. But you know what? They're the only ones that would listen to me. And all of you, because they read all the comments and the videos where we talked about it and all the complaints and all the forums, and they saw it and I directed them to it, and they're like, you're absolutely correct. We need to make this little plastic valve and a spring, and we'll sell for $25. And there you have it. So I've got that distaste for certain things at Dorman, but because of that one thing, I will always have at least that much respect for them. Otherwise, I kind of draw the line on a lot of their other stuff. But I can't completely kick them to the curb because they did do that one thing for me. And what can you say, man? It's a $25 part versus, I had a customer email me the other day, or a viewer. Dealer wanted $900 to fix that. $900. It's a 4-hour job and about a $200 part list, right? So $600 at the most. $900. You're talking about a total ripoff? $25 parts, all they needed. That's why I'm glad we've got that out there, right? Number one, it gives you a little more. If you spend that much on a vehicle, you start thinking it's a piece of crap. I would say another word, but I don't know if I can get away with it here on YouTube, so I'm not. So knowing that there's something out there for $25 that can fix it, you feel a little more confident, number one, in your skills of working on the car, and second, that if there is a problem, it won't cost that much to fix, right? If it costs you $2,000, $3,000 every time, you know you're going to get rid of it, and you're probably going to move from that brand to a different brand. So to me, it's kind of helps with the brand loyalty. Mod, yeah, y'all jump in here, and y'all can be moderators all you want. I don't mind. Talk amongst yourselves, help each other out. You know, when it gets to oil temps, or gets to talking about oil temps, maybe I'm just not that well schooled in them. Maybe I don't see a lot of it, but a lot of people ask me about the oil temps on a lot of these vehicles. While they're driving, they start noticing the gauge. They're getting readings because a lot of these gauges aren't needles no more. They're actually digital numbers. And the problem with that is you don't really have a range. When it was a gauge, you always knew that, you know, this is cold, this is hot, this is high, this is low, this is full, this is empty, right? And you knew within usually halfway is about where you wanted to be. That was kind of the norm. They start giving you numbers, and you start going, what are these numbers? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this normal? You would think it's abnormal, but it is normal. You know what the problem is? They don't give us any reference to tell us what is and what isn't, right? I don't have a sheet that says, hey, normal operating range should be 260. I'm more like, are you having problems? Any warning signs? Any noises? Anything like that? Then you're probably fine. I wish they could give me more information, but they don't. So I hear about these all the time, and the problem is I don't drive one on a regular basis to actually monitor what I see as what I consider to be normal driving, to see, hey, yeah, that's what I see every day, because each one of them is different, and I wish they would change that. I wish it would be back to a regular gauge. You can actually monitor stuff. I don't need numbers all the time, right? I need quick visual. I'm driving down the road, I want to glance down, I want to glance up, and I want to see what I need. I don't want to have to go through screens going, 260, what's 260? I need to keep my damn eyes on the road. I don't need to be worrying about that. That's what I wish they would do. Pennzoil 5W20, awesome. Like I said, oil temp, I wish I knew. Coolant temps are one thing, and even those start getting higher and higher to where the normal range is still moving up a little bit. Hey Dave, in the northeast, and almost, let's see. Alright, just some of the words here, but anyway. Northeast and almost crashed because brakes stopped working, got recall, same day, brake booster water shield. What's that? Brake booster water shield, that's on the Durangos and the Grand Cherokees. It's a recall that's not new, but it is new again. It came out probably about 2 years ago, where the brake boosters, they were having problems with corrosion or water getting in certain areas, and they would start leaking. Of course, it's a power brake system, so any kind of leak causes a loss of vacuum, and a loss of vacuum is not good. At that point, you have no power brakes, and it's the old style hard brake pedal, right? Well, we also had the recall, and a lot of people may not have been installing that shield correctly, because the first thing is to check to make sure there is no problem, right? No problem, great, we're not replacing the booster. If there is, we replace the booster. If not, we've got this nice foam shield that we're going to put around the brake booster. We're going to wrap it basically. We're going to make it somewhat waterproof. A lot of the people weren't working it on properly. You're supposed to put some glass cleaner to kind of slide it on, and it's supposed to go fully seated. The problem was a lot of them weren't doing it right. They were putting them on, not seating them all the way. So now they actually got a little more in depth. So the ones that we did, and I think it's all the ones that we did, we're rechecking. There may be some new ones out there, but that weren't included in the original recall. But now what we do is we've got to slide it on completely. We've got to get a paint marker. We've got to write the VIN number on the brake booster, and I think even the date, and then we've got to take a picture of that and send it to Chrysler to verify that it's installed correctly and it's on that particular vehicle. So now we've got to prove it. And that's what that's all about. Matter of fact, my Grand Cherokee, I use an app. I think it's my Carfax. And my vehicle's on there, and I got a notification before I even got it in the mail saying there's a new recall on my Grand Cherokee, and that's what it is. It's something I need to do, and you know what? I might actually do a video on it just to show you. So that's what they're going to be doing once they have your vehicle, and they'll actually pull the master, they'll check it, make sure everything's fine, everything's cool, they'll bleed the vacuum off, take the master cylinder out real quick and easy without taking the lines off, put the sleeve over. It probably takes about 30 to 45 minutes. ProMaster about interior lights. You know, I don't really see a lot of ProMaster issues other than the typical 3.6, right? Got noise here, noise there. But as far as interior lights, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head without looking at the wiring schematics. But nothing common on my end, nothing that I've come across. So anything's possible there. Hector, hey dude, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Cheers, bro. Happy Friday. Thanks, Hector. Happy Friday to you. And also, if I don't talk to you between now and then, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Spanky, wanted to say sorry I missed your live vid. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. Trust me, Spanky. Trust me. I was dealing with kids ready for school. Yeah, it didn't work well between cutting out and me thinking it was going to be a shorter video, and it was getting more in depth. And I was like, oh man, now I've got to stop and go work on something else. But then the internet crashed, and I'm like, well, there's a good stopping point, right? You didn't miss anything. Keith, you know it. Keith is cars. He's like the rest of us YouTubers or people at most dealership or even aftermarket techs. It's cars 24/7. If I ain't doing it here, I'm watching it on TV in the house. Brains are just constantly going car. And then we get on here and help everybody else about car questions, and we got car questions, and I'll ask other YouTubers about car questions, and this is non-stop, right? There you go. I see them back and forth comment noise. Thanks, Keith. Thanks. Love it. I love when everybody's helping each other. Speaking of oil changes, how do you feel about the oil change interval of 7,500 on a 6.7 Cummins? Love it. As a matter of fact, that's what the interval is I set on every one of them. I don't like to go higher than that. I know back a long time ago it was 5,000 miles. 75 is a good one for me. I love it. I do it on my vehicle as well. Don't have any problems with that. That's what I would stick with. Good thing about 75 is if you double that, you get 15, right? And what's due at 15? Fuel filters. So there you got that. Every other oil change you're putting fuel filters in. So that's also a good interval for keeping a cycle going, because if you got something at 3,000, something at 7,500 or 11,000. Your intervals get so screwed up. You're like, when do I need to come in? So that's what was kind of cool about oil changes back in the day. 3,000 for an oil change, and a rotate was basically every 6 roughly, right? So you could go every other, you did a rotate, same thing. I love it when they kind of group things up like that. That way it's a lot easier for the customer, easy to remember, and things get taken care of. Explain the Hemi tick. Explain, the Hemi tick is a bad thing. It depends on how loud the tick is. There are some actual problems with the Hemis. Mostly the vehicles that idle for long periods of time. And those have an issue with the lifters. The lifters are roller lifters, and the needle bearings will fail, start locking up on the roller. The roller will actually start locking up and start rubbing up against that camshaft and actually digging a groove into the camshaft and causing problems. Now, that's a different kind of noise, right? That's actually a problem. Now, the Hemi has a characteristic where you can hear a tick. I wouldn't say constantly, from what I know. It's more of code startup, especially you go out on the line of the dealership where I work at, and if a car's been sitting out there for a week or two, because it's a dealer, cars don't get sold all the time. Excuse me. So some of them sit out there for a while, and you'll hear a salesperson start something up, especially if the customer buy it. Excuse me. It can make a lot of noise, and it's a characteristic of it. I don't know 100% what the issue is, because if they consider it to be an issue, you would think there'd be a fix for it, and you would no longer have it. Is it a trait or characteristic? Most likely. And like I said, it depends on how loud it is. It could be an actual problem. I have a 2007 Ram 3500 4-wheel drive engaging by itself. Don't know what it could be. Can you help me? I don't remember on the 2007s if they're... I'm trying to picture in my mind how it's working. If that's more than likely still has a lever. It depends on if it's a higher end push button style or knob. I think on that one, still being that old, is a manual linkage. I don't see a lot of problems with that. I've seen one this week, and it actually must have engaged going down the highway, because all that's left, and if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the picture, is a chain with a drive shaft attached to one end and another drive shaft attached to the other end, and just a chain. And just like a quarter of the housing still there, and the rest of it's sitting on the ground. So that definitely engaged going down the highway, probably 70 or 80 miles per hour, and it did not like it. But as far as common problems, what to point to, I can't really tell you right now. It's not really anything I've come across. Not common at all. Did you cry like I did when watching those crash for clunker videos, like the Mint Volvo S80 destroyed? The crash for clunker was something. I don't remember how many of y'all remember that. Probably most of you, right? So that we could kind of stimulate the economy and all, we're going to get rid of some of these higher miles vehicles. We'll give you X dollar amounts for your trade-in. You need to bring your vehicle in, and what we're going to do is basically blow it up, right? We're going to lock the motor up. So I can't even remember what the chemical was called. Came in a 1 gallon container, just like bleach. That's what it looked like as far as a container, and some kind of crystallizing solution. Drain the oil, pour this into the crankcase, run it at high RPM till finally it would actually start getting thicker and thicker, and the engine would just slowly click, 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 right? We're locking up the engines. At that point, they're getting towed off somewhere to the crusher. I've seen some of them end up at the local pull-aparts. So, they were getting reused, but there were some high, there was some, it might have been high mileage, but there were some clean trucks come through that there was nothing really wrong with. Beautiful trucks. I guess the guy just figured he'd get his money for it and buy something else. So, it was just heartbreaking to watch. I got plenty of, we pumped the gas. I got free oil for a while there, because once it would blow up, we had it worked down to a system. We knew what fuses to jump or whatever. We would pump the damn tanks. Sorry. Let me be cursing on YouTube. We would pump the tanks dry, be filling all our cars up with fuel, take the spare tires out. Anything that didn't necessarily have to go with it, we made sure didn't go with it. So it was still, I hated to see it. Look at Keith jumping out there with the wiring schematics and what to look for. Wow. I love it. Thank you, Keith. I should have it pulled up over here, but jumping back and forth, it's just going to be time consuming. You don't know who Keith is? Get out of here. Keith is everywhere. Go ahead, Spanky, jump in there, answer some questions. Alright, so you replaced, I'm looking at here, Shepherd Lover 62. Just did an oil pressure sensor change on a 2014 Cherokee. Any reason there'd be a couple tablespoons of oil drained from intake manifolds and removed. You know, there's always some oil, residual in the intakes on these engines. It is normal, just like a lot of the 4-cylinder turbos, you would take one of the intercooler boots off, find some oil. That's actually normal. Every one of these intakes I've taken off had some kind of gooey substance, which is an oil byproduct, right? Something coming from oil in there. It's sticky. You try to wipe it, it just sticks to you. But that's not abnormal. If you see something in the intake manifolds, now there's a point where it may start getting excessive. You got some miles, which it's a 14. I don't think you got crazy miles. One thing would be to change out the PCV valve. I don't know if that's necessarily a problem for you, but you would start noticing oil consumption. If you would check the oil and the oil levels really dropping a lot in between oil changes, then you start worrying about stuff like seals, internal seals, if you don't see any external leaks. Then also a PCV valve could be actually allowing oil, not just positive crankcase ventilation, but oil to actually get sucked up into the hose right there and actually come back through the intake. So it's not abnormal to see some in there. I wouldn't say tablespoons like drip, drip, drip. You may get a couple drips. You shouldn't get a lot. Keep an eye on your oil level for now and see how things go. If you need to make a mark or take a picture of it after it's been off for a little bit, and then recheck it every 500 miles and kind of get a basic idea. I'd love to see a video replacement on the thermostat for a World 2.4. Can't find a decent one. I love the ones you did on the water pump. Yeah, I need to do one on that. That's that 2 thermostats on that plastic housing above the transmission at the back of the engine. I gotta get one though, that's the problem. They don't really come in for those issues anymore. Not common anymore. It'd be great to see. Yeah, Keith. That was kind of cool watching that live. I don't know how many of y'all saw it, that live video Keith did where he was actually schooling the other mechanic at that mechanic shop on what to check, which was awesome. You know, it's one thing to just jump in there and say, hey, I got this, find it, be done. You know what? In the end, no one learns from that. It's kind of cool how Keith handled it. He did it in a professional manner. He didn't make the guy feel bad. He was actually teaching him what to look for so that next time he could kind of do it himself, right? Because Keith's not going to be doing it forever. I'm not going to be doing it forever. Eric O's not going to be doing it forever. You can go on down the list of mechanics. We're not going to be doing this forever, right? One day our day's going to be over, one way or another, retirement or something happens health. Who else is going to be out there, right? Someone's got to share this knowledge. Someone's got to spread it out there, and Keith's real cool about doing it. I will show you how to replace the part. Now, I don't really have the time to show you how to diagnose a lot of stuff, right? I do have some videos, but not a lot. Keith will show you step by step what you need to do, which is awesome, right? That's the hardest part, and that's what he gets paid for to do. That's why they hire him or pay him to go from shop to shop to actually locate issues and tell them what to do. Instead of everybody saying, oh, it needs a computer. It needs a computer, right? Everything needs a computer. I'm just going to offer help for the electrical questions. But that's what your drivability and electrical, that's your main things. I get it. Those are the high dollar ticket. That's what everybody needs help with. We can all put water pumps on, right? It's just some of them need to know how, and that's where I come in. As far as electrical issues and all, Keith is the man. How much transmission oil do I need to put in after doing an oil filter change? Or no, I guess it says oil and filter, which of course still the transmission on a 2011 Rutan 62TE. I always start at 4 on those and then recheck, and then you may have to go up to 5. Usually you're not going to go more than that. 4 is a good point of checking it, letting it get warm, and checking it with the special tool, which I got another video I need to come out soon with that, where I tell you about changing the fluid and how to check it Yeah, I'll give you a little secret. Got 3.6 right here, right? Same engine in that Rutan. I'm going to show you how to use the oil dipstick, which is nothing new. It's on the internet. People have mentioned it. People have showed people how to do it. I just need to get off my rear and do a video on it and show you how to make the marks, right? The marks is the key thing. It's kind of scientific. They want you to do certain temperatures and certain levels. I want to give you a kind of a ballpark of what will work without giving you a lot of problems. You shouldn't have any issues with the way it shifts afterwards. Oh, you meant Amsoil. Exactly. Thanks, Steve. Amsoil is one of them as well. I hear more about Amsoil and the purple. Tesla. I don't know much about Teslas. I would love to learn more about other vehicles, but being at the dealership for the last 19, almost 20 years, I am so brainwashed into Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and now I got to keep saying the word Fiat. Ugh, I hate to say that word. When is the last time I had the sex? The questions that are coming up here. Tesla, sex, what's next? I lied, I didn't see it. Of course, I clicked the bell icon. You know to click that bell icon. I should have known better than that. But yeah, any of you that want to be notified about anybody's live feeds, new videos, like, of course, I just saw Chris Fix has launched his new one where he surprises his mom with her dream car. So there you go. That's one of those instant. Yeah, the 8-speed transmission on the truck, sometimes they'll have a leak. Sorry if I just kicked that. They'll have a leak from time to time with the cooler on the side of the trans. It's actually a warmer, the heater, exactly. I say cooler, I apologize, because it looks like a cooler, but it's actually a heater to help warm up the fluid in the transmission faster. So that way it does what it needs to get to that ideal temperature. There's some metal tubes, aluminum tubes that have O-rings on both ends. It's not uncommon for one of those O-rings to get distorted when it's going in and it comes out of its groove. So yeah, 25,000 miles. It's a common issue. It's not common, but if I see a leak, usually that's what it is. Last one I did was probably 2 years ago. So if you want to say that's common, no, but I have seen it. You look cold. Do you want to use me as a blanket? It's Georgia. It's probably what, 50 degrees. I'm cold natured, so yeah, it's it can get cold. I would do it inside the house, but nah. You know, we're car people, right? Gotta have cars in the background, stuff car related. Open a GoFundMe. We love your help. There's so much, you know, it's like t-shirts. I wanted to do a little meme about t-shirts. Everybody wants t-shirts. You make t-shirts or buy t-shirts. And all of a sudden it's crickets, right? You don't hear anybody. You get a few people order. It's just how it is. There's the Patreon. That's another thing. And you watch different YouTubers that have Patreon. You'll see who do well with it and who don't do well with it. And there's some that have got this worked out like a business model. They got it well. I mean, I compare two people. I compare the Humble Mechanic and I compare Eric O. And as a YouTuber, you kind of compare yourself to other people, right? You want to be successful. You want to see what's working for people and what's not working. You don't want to really copy, but you don't want to fail miserably. So you're looking at their Patreon accounts, right? You can go on there and you can see how many people are donating monthly on a regular basis and what the dollar amount is. And you see the big difference, right? So it's more than likely possibly the demographics, they're loyal viewers and those doing it versus some of them that aren't. And I hate to keep asking people for money, I really do. Don't get me wrong, I would love to do this full time. But you know, the ones that are very successful at it, I realize today, are those that are more entertaining. And I don't tell jokes, I would fail miserably. I can show you how to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, right? All of you that have watched the video of mine have probably came to the video for a reason. You had a problem, you watched the video and you saved X dollar amount, or X amount of dollars, right? A lot of the other people go to them on a regular basis because it's entertaining. Like there's one out there, and I don't even want to mention his name because I'm not one of those bashers, but I can't stand to watch him. It's so, the people that I know that I talk that watch it, they watch it to laugh. Not because they're learning about a car, but they watch it and they're just like, this guy is so goofy, so this guy is so pathetic. I don't want to be that guy, but doggone it if he ain't pushing almost 1 million subscribers. So it's working for him, right? I can't be that guy, but I would love to have 1 million subscribers. Who wouldn't, right? Yeah, when you buy aftermarket power lock kits, I couldn't really tell you much about it because the way the systems on these cars are, it's not the simple power and ground like back in the day that you could just hook into an empty spot on the fuse box or go directly to the ignition. I really don't know where to tell you to put that on that one. Me, it's mostly Mopar added items, and there'll be instructions that go real detailed. I have water vehicles before, but now there is a buoy in the way, and I can't get a drill in there to drill out the holes. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm not sure what to tell you on that one, Barry, without physically seeing it. I think I know what you're probably talking about. It's like where the connector might go through the door jumper, that it's a connector and there's no openings around the connector, but it could be some dummy portions of the connector aren't being used, some blocked off passages like a wire would normally go into, but it's not. Then you try to go through that, but unlike you don't want to just drill through anything. It's one of those things I'd probably have to see and play around with, try to make something work. Taurus, can't tell you much about Taurus, I'm sorry. Other than I remember working on a few when I was aftermarket, but no, nothing since. Oh, yeah, I see what it is. You're getting Keith to help him out. Awesome. You know it. If he knows it, anybody. No, Keith, how do you figure it out? No, I don't want. I hate to even say that I mentioned that, but yeah, I'm not want to bash nobody, but it's just some things, man, that just I can't watch. And I don't have that great a channel, right? I'm going to teach you how to fix something, which I am there to save you. I'm like the roadside assistance, right? You break down, I'm going to come over there and I'm going to help you put this flat tire, or change this flat tire out. Man, I messed up and hit the wrong button again. Apologize. Wow. There's no way I'm going to get there today. This is funny. Y'all are going crazy with all these comments tonight, man. Awesome. If I'm just going to have to jump somewhere, right? I'm going to step over somebody because there's no way I'm going to get through all this stuff. Each one of these questions I'm probably talking 5 minutes on, and I shouldn't. Need to do more live feeds, right? We could get to this a lot better. Yeah, I'm just going to jump right where I'm at right now because I done lost my place, so holy crap. Man, y'all are asking a lot of questions tonight. There you go, keys on the game. Alright, yeah, this is kind of hard to scroll through some days. Maybe I need to do this a little different. 2003 Cummins cruise control light on dash, but it won't set. Is it a vacuum leak or PCM problem? Very good possibility it is a vacuum problem. Usually if it's going to be a PCM or electrical issue, that cruise control light would go out. But being that it's not physically engaging the lights on, you more than likely got a vacuum problem. The older diesels had a vacuum pump, so they would have a pump which was in line with the power steering pump. They were actually, one went on top of the other, and there would be a line that came out of there. You'd have to follow it. It could be somewhere down that system, that vacuum line, it could be a hole, or it could be cut, dry rotted, it's plastic, right? And there's some rubber connections. Or the vacuum check valve could be bad and it's not holding vacuum at certain times. So I would do a good visual inspection of all the vacuum lines first. And then of course you could hook up a scanner and double check to make sure that everything's doing what it's supposed to. But there's a good chance you've got a vacuum leak. Dangerous exhaust temp. I don't really know. It's because, you know, here's the thing. When you do a regen, I forgot what it is. It gets up to 1,500 or 1,500, excuse me. I want to say it's about 1,500. It's been so long since I monitored an actual regen because we had so many problems back in the day. We would have to drive, look at the scanner, look at the data, and see what was going on. And it was so hard to actually see. It wasn't hard to see. It was hard to remember because it's been 5 years or so since I've had to actually monitor the temperature. I think average temperature is 500 to 700 degrees. It gets up around 1500 possibly during a regen. So you think, is there anything higher than that would cause a problem? Possibly, because it's set up to run 1500 if it needed to for a regen, right? That's the thing. I know a lot of the performance mods that people do on diesels, they add a pyro sensor where they can actually check the temperature. I don't have nothing to compare it to, because in my normal, the reason why I say this is, in my normal day of repairing vehicles at the dealership, there's certain things I see and certain things I will never see. And I kind of focus on only what I see and what I'm going to know. So as far as those temperatures, that's nothing that ever comes up in the diagnosis of the vehicle, which would be great to know, which unfortunately my brain can only retain so much information. So I don't know on that. I'm pretty sure a lot of the aftermarket performance guys probably do. I honestly don't know what is good and what is bad. And that's about as honest as I can get you. Not a good answer, right? But it's honest. 2012 Durango does differential require friction modifier. It depends on the differential. Now here's what I do. Now if you want to be certain that you're not going to have a problem, you can put friction modifier in a differential that doesn't need it, and it's not going to cause any problems. So that's what you could do. If you're going to do a differential service, go ahead, change out the fluid, add some friction modifier. It's not going to hurt it. It's the ones that need it that you're going to notice when you go around a corner. They might do a hopping sensation, but you can put friction modifier in any differential and not have any problems. Just make sure you're using the right weight and viscosity of differential fluid. We use a BG product, and it actually has it in the bottle already, and that goes in every one of the differentials. So if you want to err on the side of caution, add it. Otherwise, it'd have to have like a VIN number, check to see what differential you have, do some checking. The easiest way to me is just add it. It's not going to hurt it. How many PCMs have I replaced on 2007 Chryslers? I did 2 Jeeps last year. You don't see a lot of PCM issues. 2007 Chryslers, it's kind of hard to remember back then. More patrol cars or like Chargers, you might have to put 1 or 2 in, but for the most part, the computers are built fairly well. You know, back in the day, if someone didn't know what was going on with something, it was, oh, it needs a computer, right? I don't have to replace many computers. I really don't. It's very seldom. I wouldn't say a common thing, but anything is possible, right? There you go. Keep stepping in there. 5.5 quarts for the Rutan trans fluid change. You know, like I said, whenever you're doing any kind of fluid change, something like that, start low, work your way up. There's no harm in adding. If you add too much, then of course, then you got to find a way to suck it back out, or take the pan back out and start all over. Worst case scenario, right? So that's the specs. Now, would I say drop 5.5 quarts in it? No. I would say start a little lower and work your way up. If you're going to buy fluid, based off of what Keith said, you buy 6 quarts. That way you've got that extra quart. That way you're not short and have to run back to the store. It's easier to go back to the store with that quart that hasn't been opened and get your money back. So purchase 6 quarts and start with 4 and work your way up. We have a fleet of 45 police chargers and do not change transmission fluid. We get rid of our cruisers at 130K. We save a lot of money on not changing fluid. You know, that's the thing, the 130K, man. You know, I did a video a while back on intervals of, not intervals, it's idle time. Can you imagine the miles? They've got more than 130,000 miles on it. Actual road miles, yes. Engine idle time, that's going to be a completely thing. I wouldn't doubt that that's 170 to 200,000 miles on the engine alone. But that's something that never gets considered because these vehicles idle so much time, being that they're police chargers, right? They're sitting somewhere, the officer's sitting in there, it's running with the AC to heater, non-stop, it's not moving. Undocumented miles, that's when you buy one of those, just kind of buyer beware. But yeah, it's weird how certain municipalities will get rid of them sooner than others. Some of them will drive until they get to 300,000. Mr. Talk, regen is around 12, there you go. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I know it was over 1,000. I know normal, you would watch it, it'd stay up to a range, and once the regen was over, you could tell because the temperature, number one, the status would change, and of course the temperature would work its way back down to 500. It gets hot enough that they tell you if you're doing a stationary regen, lower the spare tire, And make sure it's nowhere around anything flammable, because the exhaust is going to get so hot that it could actually cause stuff to catch on fire. So it will get very, very hot. Yeah, when you start playing with 45 cop cars, you can kind of play around with the whole, do we fix every one of them, or do we go as long as we can and only fix one every now and then? I understand what they're saying. It makes sense. And like I said, they hold up well. The transmissions do. Thanks, JW. Thank you. Appreciate it. I've seen some of you have actually been giving to the super chat, and I appreciate it. I haven't got down to where it states who it is. So each one of you, it says up to $6, but I think at one point it was lower than that, so that means multiple people. Many thanks. I don't know how many of you know what super chats are. There's actually a button down there. If you look right below the live chat, it's a $sign next to the actual emoji sign. You can actually donate money. I'm not asking you to. I'm just letting you know what it is. You'll go on some channels, you'll see. It's just the way people give money. But that's what that is, $6. Many, many, many thanks. I'm going to jump around here. We've been here, 66 minutes. We're going to be calling it short in just a minute, because I've got to get on here and try to answer questions before I hotel tomorrow for vacation. Try to get some of these done. I hate to leave so many people hanging. Alright, I'm going to jump around. You know, actually, you can talk about fleet chargers. That's where that Hemi came from. Actually, patrol car was using excessive amounts of oil, which I've never gone through to find out why yet. I just purchased it as a core. But as you can see, it's complete. That came, this is actually low miles. It's like 30, 40,000 miles. Lifter cam issues due to defective parts of oil lubrication. You know, the needle bearings don't seem to want to hold up too well. And when I say is 3.6s have roller rockers, they have a round bearing type roller that has needle bearings in there, much like you used to see on a U-joint when you would take the caps off. And the Hemis have the lifter with the same thing. And problem with the Hemis was idle time, and you know, I'd say not changing oil probably as frequent as they could. Like I said, they don't count the number of hours the vehicle's been idling. But sitting there at low RPMs, Hemi oil pressure can get into the single digits at idle. So if you're sitting there hours on end pumping 5, 6, 7 psi, it's probably not the best thing. So they would fail. That ain't necessarily the case with the 3.6s. They could just do it whenever. It's just, and you know what? It's not just Chrysler having an issue with that. Chevrolet's had the same issue with their lifters on their LS motors. So it's the needle bearings. Just the roller style. Just, I guess it's not the best combination. Flat rate master in the house. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Dormant and electricity do not mix. I am not buying anything electrical aftermarket. I don't care. I saw a video the other day about companies talking about how dealers overcharging for parts when you can buy online at X whatever company that's selling it. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe in that. Too many of these aftermarket parts are made by companies overseas, China or whatever, thrown in a box. And yes, they give you a warranty, but that warranty doesn't really mean crap, except that you're probably, yeah, great, you're going to change it out if it has a failure, but someone else has to put it on again. And I do fully understand Chrysler does not make parts, neither does Mopar, but you know what? They are tied up with manufacturers that do make them, and that's the same manufacturers that make them on the vehicles straight from day one. So you're getting the best quality part that if there were any issues, they made revisions, they found problems, they fixed it. So you're getting the newest and greatest of a part instead of something made in China or wherever else in the world that's a piece of crap. Dorman, for me, they got some help items. They got the bypass valve, they got the ignition actuator, they got small things that I like. But I'm not buying a throttle body from them. I'm not buying a high-end electrical component by any means. Wow, 30 BCMs a year? Wow. I tell you, that's what happens. You get that time frame of when vehicles come into the dealership, probably, I don't know if it's like a 10-year window. When they're brand new on up to a point where they're like, it costs too much to go to the dealer, I'm going to take it to my mechanic, right? My mechanic, and let him fix it. So whatever happens after that realm, I never get to see. I only get to see that one. It's like, I guess you can say a pediatrician only see a kid from the, I guess maybe the day he's born up to a certain age, and once they become an adult or whatever, they don't see him anymore. That's kind of like me as a dealer tech. You see them up to a certain point, and from then on, they go out on the street, they're doing well, or whatever's happening to them, and then they become someone else's issue. The comments, I swear. Yeah, we got, like I said, the Hemis, idle time, man. It's always the ones that I see that have the roller lifter issues are always fleet vehicles. And actually, the reason why I got that core is because I came up with a way. Now, I don't know how many people know it, but not very. But you can actually replace the camshaft and lifters on the Hemi without removing the cylinder heads. Now, the procedure typically is the lifters are up under the cylinder heads cover them up. You've got to take them off, and they got these little bricks or blocks that have 4 of them, 4 groups of them, right? 4 groups of 4. Excuse me. And you've got to take the cylinder heads to get them out. But I know a way that you don't have to, and I've got a tool that I made just for that. And that's why I actually bought the engine, for me to actually refine the tool. I still use it from time to time already at the shop, and I haven't had a chance to tear it down to do what I want. But yeah, it is feasible. I just can't really show you, right? It's kind of top secret information. We got pictures to prove that the cylinder head's on and the camshaft out. But I can't really show you because, you know, I didn't make nothing off of that bypass valve with Dorman. I didn't ask them for no money either, but that tool, that'd be something I want. Yeah, and you can actually, if you use the tool, you'll save about $400 in gaskets and parts. You don't have to take the intake off. Valve cover still got to come off. But time, you'll probably save 2 hours at least too. So $100 an hour, that's 200 parts. You could save about $400 just per engine doing the repair. Yeah, we're going to jump around. Yeah, brake booster, second recall. Like I mentioned before, the first one we did. The second one is, let's make sure that the mechanic did it right. But apparently someone were taking shortcuts. So it's cool that they're rechecking this. They're not just taking our word that, you know, hey, they did it, we're good, we've washed our hands of it, anything happens, it's on you. Apparently they found some that they've rechecked and go, whoa, who did this? What were they thinking? Great, now we've seen multiples. Now we've got to do another recall, because now this time it wasn't necessarily the part failure, it's because the technician didn't do his job right. That's what this second recall is. It's on us. A fix for a fix. It's a fix for a mechanic that didn't do the fix right first. That's the bad thing about it. Now I think the 3500 he was talking about was for the engine itself, not for the actual cam job, cam and lifters. So I think there's, yeah, I think that's where the mix-up is, and I see some of y'all talking about that. Yeah, I know a lot of them. A lot of the city shops, when the chargers have that issue, they won't actually go in them. They'll replace the engine. They won't go in and fix the cam and the lifters. They do a complete engine. It's repairable, but you know, I guess it's they make the call on that. He's up to reading about 6 minutes of comments. I'm telling you, man, it's there's a lot of comments. I'm looking right here. I might be a tenth of the way through it. Well, not a tenth, probably maybe a 6/10 of the way through. I'm sorry. Long job, I believe book time. Wow, yeah, we get paid warranty to do a cam and lifters on a patrol car. It's probably 10 hours, 11 at the max, and that includes evac and recharge. Yeah, I noticed the lifters, if you buy them individually, they'll cost more than if you were to buy them as a group of 4, right? And that little bucket or whatever you want to call it, you buy them that way 4 at a time. It's a lot cheaper than actually buying the individual lifters. So if you ever go that route, do it that way. And then you can take them out. Well, you're not going to use the shortcut. I take them out for the shortcut. You actually be using the buckets. Now they don't have to come off, trust me. I'll give you a quick breakdown. You can get the cam out by, this is what you do. You're going to take the push rods out, and you use pin magnets to go down and where the push rods are, and you're actually going to pick up on the lifters. So at that point, the rollers are no longer making contact with the cam lobes. Take the chain off, you can slide the cam out. At that point, you got to get the lifters out, right? You can push them down into its bores where the cam was with no problem. It's not going to drop into the bottom of the block. It's going to stay in there. You can fish them out with a magnet. The trick is a special tool of getting the lifters back in there. Get them in there and lined up with the hole. That's where the tool comes in. It can be done. I actually did a video on it, but like I said, I didn't want to put the video up because I don't know what I want to do with the tool. You can't just patent stuff and make millions of dollars. That doesn't work. Patent basically just means you need to have money to fight it in court, because if Snap-on wants to do it, they're going to do it. If you ain't got the money to fight them, what's the use in even patenting, right? Because when you patent something, you just scream out to the world that you've got a new tool. It gets published, everybody can see it, it's public records. Now everybody knows it's out there, they can try to make it and do whatever they want, and then you've got to fight them. But it is doable. I've got the tool, we use them all the time. I've got a stack of head gaskets fitting around here because I don't need the head gaskets, but warranty is not going to pay me to do the shortcut. Warranty is going to pay me to do it the normal way. So that means the stack of head gaskets sitting over there, I can't just turn them in. It's got to be built out. That's the bad thing about it. The same repair gets done, but in a shorter manner. But you got to have the tool. Yeah, the head, it's no different than 4-liter straight 6. You had to take the head off to get the lifters out. Same thing. Yep, exactly. The LS's, the trucks. We've done a few trucks. We don't do a lot, but some do come through, used ones of ours. And you'll have to do the same thing. They have the same issues with the roller bearings. They just don't hold up well. Who has the worst fleet in U.S.? Detroit. I don't know. Let's see. Talked to 2 dealers. Know-how said that little slime built up on the top of the radiator cap before it almost is built up from cooling under pressure and passing the cap through. You sometimes, when you have any kind of substance in your radiator, it's always going to go to the highest point and also collect into the coolant bottle. Now, if you've got a buildup of any kind of sludge or anything inside the coolant bottle, yes, you've got something going on. If you open up the radiator cap and you just got a little bit of gelness on top, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's when it starts getting bigger and large quantities of it. Usually the bottom of the coolant bottle is where it will collect. You start seeing it in there, you definitely got a problem. It's kind of like the oil, what is it called? Oil emulsification. I'm probably saying it wrong. On the 4 7s and 3 7s, you take the cap off and it was kind of a milky substance on the bottom of the cap. That was normal because it was the highest point in the system, so condensation, oil, it would cause a little white milkiness right there. More videos on common rails. Yes, I probably need to do more. It seems lately with the help we got at the shop, I don't get to do as many diesels. I stick more to the transmissions again. So it's kind of cool to have a little bit of help there. Look at Keith. Keith is going to town there. Very nice, very nice. Guys, we're going to be getting close, and gals, we're going to get close. I'm sure that Spanky's probably taking care of the kids or getting ready to call it a night. I don't see her on there, but she might still be. But yeah, we're going to get ready to close this down in just a few. Yeah, many thanks, Keith. Like I said, it's about spreading that knowledge, and you do it well. That's what all these videos that I do, everybody else does. It's what it's about, right? I'm not trying to be entertaining. I would fail miserably. $500 to change out the front motor mounts. I don't know what the price on the mounts are. Time to take them off. It could be a pain in the ass, especially a four-wheel drive. You got some tight areas to work in there. It might not be that fun. I can't remember. I haven't had to do any yet. Yeah, that special tool from Dorman for checking the trans fluid, I think it's hit and miss when I use it on stuff because it's a metal strip on the end and sometimes it doesn't want to flex well. So when I'm doing like a nag transmission or something and it's got a couple bends in the tube, it's one of those you got to feel it and close your eyes till you feel it, because there's that bend that it wants to flex around. You might think is it bottoming out, but it's not until you get to that one little area, and if you push too hard it might actually curve and go sideways in the pan. I'm not too happy with it. It's a cheap tool, it works, but if I can ever use the dipstick on just a regular car, that's the route I like to go. And like I said, I'm going to do a video soon, hopefully once I get back from vacation, and show you how. Start getting a few more here. Like I said, those who did give on that super chat, I appreciate it. It doesn't show on here. It's probably because it's already expired, because once you donate money, it gives you a window how long your message is there. So, and it depends on how much you give as well. Many, many, many thanks for that. I really appreciate it. New York. David, I fixed my car last week because I watched your videos. I appreciate the time you took to help me out by saving me a ton. You're much welcome, right? If y'all didn't watch these videos, there would be no purpose in me making these videos, so I owe you just as many thanks as y'all give me. Alright, what I'm probably going to do is let this go for a little bit. It looks like Keith's up here helping some people, so if I cut this off, the video's still going to be there. Y'all do y'all's thing. I'm probably just going to hit pause and let it go through its thing for a little while, and then I'll come back. Yeah, wow. Am I that far behind, Keith? Wow, did I just come across a comment about... I did. I am that far behind. Y'all are probably wondering what the hell happened to my question, right? I asked it 30 minutes or an hour ago. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't want to miss each and one of y'all's questions, so... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am so sorry for not getting to these. I might have to hit pause just to read them in a minute, but get ready to call it a night for y'all. If I didn't get to your question, let's do this. The next live feed, hop on here and try to ask it again at the beginning, because I'm telling you, y'all are overwhelming tonight. That's awesome. Look at that. $5. Thank you, Jay Thumper. Much appreciated, my friend. Much appreciated. You know, y'all don't have to do it, but it's greatly appreciated. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to have to kind of scan through these things and just read them. I won't be able to respond back once the live feed is over, but certainly, wow. It's impressive. It's humbling, right? That many people feel confident enough to ask you questions about their cars and wanting an honest answer in return. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I'll probably have to sign off in just a few. It's getting late. It's what, 11:36 here on the East Coast in Georgia. Yes, it's cold. Yeah, there you go. That's the comment. Yeah, it's Mr. K. I ain't gonna say his name. Yeah, a couple of y'all put it on there. He's got his videos going. 700 something thousand subscribers. I looked at Social Blade, what he probably brings in just from that. Hey, he's got his niche, right? That's what works for him, and I'm not gonna knock that. I just personally just can't watch it. Chris, I don't know why Chris has got this thing about his face, and there's some videos where he shows it. It's just what it is. I don't know. Once again, that's kind of his niche, right? He doesn't make it about him, but then again, I guess you kind of, where's his face? Where's his face? So it becomes about him. But yeah, that's a guy that's carved a massive groove into this, right? He's running with it, and he's doing awesome with it. Like the #1 automotive YouTuber from what is being said. So my hat's off to him, man. He's got this going. You gotta find what works well for you and for your viewers. I haven't found that yet. I guess because I just want to help people fix cars. I just can't be entertaining about it. And I can't tell you how to fix Volvos or tell you one video, this is how you fix rotors on, brakes on everything. I can't. I just want to show you how on a specific vehicle. Otherwise, I'm going to screw it up and look stupid, right? I'm not that knowledgeable. That's the thing. I just know where to find the information. You know, going at it again. MPH, many, many things. Many, many things. Look at that. Keith must be emailing people. Am I literally that caught up finally? Holy cow. I actually got to the bottom of the list. Wow. Yeah, I'm at the bottom of the list. I finally made it. So I didn't really, I know I missed a couple of y'all, and I apologize. But for the most part, I think it's about 95% average of some kind of communication about what went on. Near the end, we kind of fast forwarded a little bit. But nonetheless, I think we're about at the end. Hopefully, Keith's got everything he needs between the conversation he's got going on. Looks like he's emailing people and doing his thing. Awesome. All of you that chimed in tonight, many, many thanks. Awesome time. I need to do more of these. I feel like I can't talk right now because I've been talking non-stop, which for me is unusual because I don't talk to people. But yes, it's time to call a night. Go watch some car shows on Velocity and, answer some questions, right? At my leisure. Nonetheless, everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Keith, everybody else out there, many, many thanks. Thanks for following. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for listening. And a lot of y'all have my back, and a lot of you help out. And it's greatly appreciated. I couldn't do it without all y'all. And I hope to do more videos in the near future. It's getting a little harder sometimes because as you've seen like the last series, that 3-parter, I try to get so in depth. I try to get the right camera angles. I don't want to eye rape you or ear rape you with bad quality, so that takes time. I can't pull the video like I did at work back in the day and actually do a real quick 10-minute video, because that 10-minute video now takes me almost an hour to film, and then not to mention the edit and all. But I want you to have the best quality, right? Got 380 videos, just something for you to watch in the meantime. Nonetheless, everybody, thanks a lot and have a great, great week and weekend. Later, everybody.